All right. So
Yes.
it's official. Welcome everybody to the Wedding Couple Support Chat. We are here to chat and support and chat. We are going to try to delve into stage 3 as best we possibly can through the quagmire that is government regulations. And we've got an expert bunch of panelists here to answer all of your questions. So if you have a question, you can either just kind of put your hand up and unmute yourself and ask away, or you can put it in the chat if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. And we have our lovely Erica Ferguson from Blush will be monitoring our chat room, making sure that we get all those questions answered. So first up, if you are a wedding couple, if you could kind of let us know in the chat, I see Jesse's already way ahead of us on that one, when you are going to be getting married. So that gives us sort of a idea of the scope of where you are in your planning. So as I mentioned, we can answer as much as we can, as best we can. But again, these are a lot of interpretations. And that is all we can do. So this meeting is being recorded. And we shall begin. I am going to screen share a lovely thing that Amy made up, a graphic. So we're going to start with this so everybody can take a bit of a boo. And I will ask a couple questions just based on, say, for example, I'm getting married. I'm getting married mid-August. What does my wedding look like? First of all, numbers wise, gang. Oh.
And we're all super quiet tonight.
Yes. Jess, Kate, somebody?
Sorry, what was the question?
Who, for the, if I'm getting married mid-August, what's my wedding looking like numbers wise? We're just
Are you inside or outside?
There you go.
Are you at a staffed venue or are you on private property?
So let's discuss.
Also, it might not matter because we may be moving out of the current base and into another one by mid-August.
Did you spend the last 3 weeks or longer convincing all your guests to get vaccinated?
Yes.
And everybody you've ever met, really?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a nurse at the hospital, so I am definitely one with the vaccinations. And if you don't have a vaccination, I've asked for a COVID test to be back negative for my wedding anyways.
Nice.
So to answer Rob's question, assuming that we are still in step 3 on his wedding day, and he has booked his wedding reception to be in a staffed venue, so perhaps Oakwood or Caradoc Sands, there'll be 2 options at this point at a staffed venue. If you are having dancing, or if you are, I guess there's more than that, inside, outside, dancing, no dancing. If you are inside and have decided not to have dancing, then you can have up to 50% capacity of the space that you're in. If you have said, oh, hell no, we are getting married, there will be dancing, then you are only allowed to have 25% capacity of the space that you are in. Typically, vendors do not count. However, that is house rules. So depending on your venue, they may or may not choose otherwise.
Okay, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen.
So I have a question. My venue has not really helped me at all. I've been pretty much in the dark this entire time. I mentioned to her last week, like, I don't know what's going on. Am I allowed 30 people? Am I allowed 50 people? And she goes, I don't understand why you sound like you're panicking. And I was like, well, my wedding is less than a month away and I don't know what to do. Unfortunately, my venue has not been very helpful at all and has put nothing but stress on me and kind of put me in a depression instead of being excited for my wedding again. So those are new rules that I've heard, because my lady said that I could have up to 77 people as long as I had the dining room and grand hall doors open. So I'm a little confused now on what I am allowed and what I'm not allowed. Because I have not had an in-person meeting with her. I've not had a Zoom meeting with her. I have done pretty much everything over email, and I keep getting, I don't know. I'm waiting to hear. I don't know.
So Jesse, part of the challenge for you and for your venue, I don't know where you are, and I don't know that we necessarily want to call anybody out, but part of the challenge for you and for your venue is that your wedding date is August 13th, which is potentially after all of the restrictions have been lifted. My favorite thing from the government announcement was that if we achieve certain levels of immunization between now and I believe it was August 6th, we could be completely done with all limits. So my guess is that your venue is hoping that, you know, we're achieving that quicker than we expect to be. I know that we are just shy, and I mean just shy, like 0.8 or 0.6 of the 80% single vax. I am not sure where we are for the 75% double vaccination.
And I have it.
I was just going to say, usually Jess has us covered for this.
As of right now, we're sitting at 79.616 people with a single dose of over 12. And we are sitting at 62.186% of people who are fully vaccinated over 12.
I think it's really important to mention, though, that that's overall in Ontario, but each health unit needs to be at that percentage. It's not just Ontario as a whole.
If you're in the Middlesex London Health Unit, Dr. Mackey was posting numbers today on Twitter, and our double vax stat matches Ontario. I didn't notice what, our single vax stat matches Ontario's numbers. I didn't see what our double vax was. I was just interested, at the time I was thinking high school, and I was interested in what the 12 to 17 was, and I was encouraged to see that those have had a significant uptick lately.
I think at this point, though, Jesse, it's probably safe to assume that if you're indoors and not having dancing, you should be able to have at least 50% of the capacity of the venue.
She's
And then
told us we can have dancing.
Which is apparently at 25% of the capacity.
Which she never told me that, and told me that I could go back up to my 50 people. So I actually just invited the rest of the people, like not even 6 days ago. So now if I'm going to have to change that again, that's something that she would, I'm at Bellamir's. I don't really. So that's the thing, is like, I've been nothing but confused since the beginning with this, and I planned it 2 years ago. So like, it's super frustrating because now listening to this, I'm like, do I have to change my entire thing again?
It might be 25% of the 2 rooms being open.
But that's still only 33. Sorry, I have my mom on FaceTime too, so she can watch. She doesn't know how to do the Zoom.
Hi, Jesse's mom.
So if it's the 25%, then that's only 32 people in the one room. So like, that's where I'm super frustrated. So now I don't know again.
Has she said that you can have the 50 people?
The last email I got from her, and this is what's frustrating, is it's been nothing but emails.
No, that's perfect, because then you have a paper trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, if she has said you can have 50 people and dancing, you have that liability. Like if for some strange reason you happen to luck out and be that person that has the bylaw officer show up, if you show them that in writing, then they know darn well it was Bellamere that said you could do it, and it's Bellamere's problem.
We've given the okay to allow dancing with restrictions. Apparently there is no limit, but guests must wear a mask and physical distance with others, from others. That's the email I got from her.
Yeah, so just keep it.
I think
So
Anne's
also,
trying to say
I'm gonna jump in here. As a staffed venue, the venue is responsible for ensuring that you are within the capacity limits. So if they have told you that you can have 50 people, then that's what they're willing to assume responsibility for. So I say plan for your 50 people, Jesse. Have a great day. Hopefully,
Yeah.
honestly, it really is. It's why there's a difference, and it's why we fought for the difference between a staffed venue and a private property capacity difference, because the venue knows their space better. They know how to set it up, and they also know what they're willing to take on from a liability perspective.
Yeah.
That's on them. That's not on you. So if they've told you 50 people, plan away.
Okay, perfect.
Also, please still be safe. Like,
Yes.
Obviously.
you know.
Yeah, and every venue is different. Every venue that I've been visiting, everyone interprets slightly different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really comes down to, and when it comes to partying and dancing and everything, I mean, there's nothing that we want to do more than have everybody in front of us dancing like crazy, like it was 2019. But at the same time, we have to respect what we call the house, which means we're at a venue where if they kind of go, all right, can you tone it down a bit, or can you ask them not to dance or something? We have to respect that. So again, every venue is different. So it really kind of boils down to the venue.
Another thing to perhaps take into consideration, or something they've taken into consideration, is if you're having 50 people for dinner, there is a portion of those that won't stay for the dance. So they may be factoring in averages of how many people they expect to leave before the actual dancing begins, which might put you in that 25%. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm really hoping though, Jesse, that by the time we get to your day, we are all out of this and we're just having a giant dance party someplace. Rob's our DJ.
I'm all aboard. And we have actually in the chat, I noticed that a couple of our guests also have some information about that as well. So Erica, if you wanted to scan up.
I am very sorry. I was all involved in the conversation about.
It was
about
Jake and Katie.
Okay. Sorry, for an indoor venue.
So they say at Bellamere, we are having 50% capacity, and the wedding planner told us last week that they are allowing dancing with social distancing with masks. They're getting married August 14th.
Okay.
So 50% capacity, not 25. So hopefully that, Jesse, if that helps you, it's the same venue. So they would be kind of going through their own same rules on that. All right, we have, I'm going to just introduce Nancy, my friend Nancy from Clinton. Nancy Snell owns NJS Design. She does a lot of rentals up in the Huron County, Bruce County area. So I'm not sure, Nancy, if you would just want to step in for a second, kind of how you've been dealing with a lot of, obviously, people going, oh, well, we were going to have 50, but now we're going to have 100 in the rental business.
Well, I started to drink again. You just take every email and every phone call and you guide them through the best they can. The problem we're running into, because we own inventory, is the shortages. And I was talking to Rob about this earlier. We are being extremely careful not to promise anything that is not in our inventory or that I know hasn't already been shipped or we're about to receive, because stuff is delayed. I've got some stuff that should have been in August. It hasn't even hit the water yet. So we're being extremely careful with that. And people are awesome. I mean, ours have been really good. They haven't worried about it. They just, well, we can't do that. We'll do this. I guess I'm a little sure their worries about the revenue or the venues. Yeah. So yeah, we're just doing multiple changes. Relentless adaptation are my buzzword. I continually tell myself.
Yeah.
We just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, make them happen, get them done.
Yeah.
Get them organized, get them delivered so they can have a party.
And when she says on the water, it literally means like it's somewhere coming from China on the water. That's because that's
some of our stuff absolutely because our suppliers didn't place their orders in November because they didn't know what COVID was going to be like, right, and how far this season was going to be destroyed. So they didn't put the money out for it. So when they ordered in March, I've got chargers that are coming in November. Not a lot of use to me, but we know that now. I've got a handle on everything that's supposed to be coming. So, and our
Hopefully there'll
supplier,
be lots of big Christmas parties.
yes. I don't know that I'll need that many for those, but yes, you're right. So yeah, we're just, working hard every day.
Excellent. Thanks, Nancy. So again, going into what's everybody's feeling, and again, understanding, I realize 100% that you don't have crystal balls, but just if you give me just a rough idea, and Anne alluded to this earlier, of what it looks like beyond step 3, and whatever the heck they're going to call that. Anybody want to kind of just voice in on what they anticipate?
I think the anticipation is that beyond this, there will be no restrictions. So I think that's kind of what the government has alluded to, and I guess we'll see.
How well are
Fingers
people
crossed.
going to take another lockdown is my question.
I don't think that there will likely be another lockdown. I think potentially, and I'm like the most pessimistic person in the world when it comes to COVID, so like take it for what it is. I think it will not necessarily be a lockdown like province wide or whatever, everybody stay home. I think it's going to become a very targeted, like there's no break at this school, so that school goes home. I think it'll be very much like that. And I like once we reach that point of 80%, I think they're just gonna let it run until the hospitals can't hold it. Then if it reaches that point, I think that's kind of their prerogative at this point. They've done what they could. If they can't make anybody get vaccinated, take your chances.
Yeah.
But,
And
I
Linda
mean-
mentioned something about, focusing on the areas.
yeah.
And again, we don't have crystal balls, so I guess that's an unfair question to ask everybody, because who really knows, right? No. We would hope for this, but who really knows? Who really knew that we were going to be in this situation 2 years from now, or 2 years ago?
My
Yeah,
gut feeling it'll be our industry that gets nailed. And that I'm an optimistic person, but we seem to be fair game.
Brianne wrote, I don't think we'll be out of step 3 in 21 days, though. The plateau of people getting vaccine is not a good sign. And again, I'm going to be pessimistic, Patty. I think there's a valid point to that, because not 100% of the people who get their first dose are going to get their second dose regardless. So 80% for first doses is absolutely minimum requirement to reach the second dose goal. Like I think that plateau is going to be a little bit of an issue getting.
And I
all the way
think
up there.
a lot of people are apprehensive to mix if they had Pfizer and Moderna. So I think we're going to see a lot of people waiting until they can get that second dose of what they're looking for.
Just to put that, I did see, because we all have to follow the health unit on Twitter. Now at like all 4 of the major clinics, you can get Pfizer or Moderna and you can walk in. So that's, I mean, they're trying to do the best they can to make it available and people to do it. I mean, I don't know what else they can do without, like they've already gotten kind of like pushy about it. I don't think they can go any further.
So we have a question from Carly. Outdoor staff venue. Could we discuss our interpretation on the masking rules?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was rambling instead of reading.
No worries.
Okay.
That is completely venue specific. It 100% relies on what your venue is. At our venue, anytime that you are not seated, eating or drinking, you will have to wear your mask. From what I've interpreted is it's the same across the board, but it really does depend on what your venue is doing.
There are a lot of what constitute staffed venues where realistically the staff has a minimal presence. I'm thinking of a lot of like barn venues and sort of private-ish property venues that are rented out as actual, to the public. And in those cases, I'm seeing a lot of kind of fair game where the venue staff are allowing whatever happens to happen. And then other venues are interpreting things a lot differently. Some caterers are quite strict and some caterers are very lackadaisical, and there's no consistency, which makes it really difficult for anybody to know what to do.
Manuela and Mark ask, what can you stand and drink?
The
No.
moment you have any food or drink in your hand, you have to be seated, at least at my venue. I know Kate and I were talking earlier today, and it's the same at her venue. That's kind of how they interpret it. Like, we're kind of, for weddings, we kind of have to go via the wedding rules and also the restaurant rules and also the venue with a dance floor rules. Like, we have to kind of dip our toes in a bunch of rules to be able to like figure any of this out. But the moment you have food or drink in your hand, you have to be seated, because the thing is, if I'm sitting here with my drink and I'm putting my mask down, who's to say I'm putting my mask back up? And now I'm just talking to somebody who is less than 6 feet away from me, and it's just a whole mess.
How do indoor venues feel about the 25% capacity dancing rule? I think dancing's back. I'm happy about that, but I'm not a
Dancing's
venue.
back, yeah.
That depends per venue again.
Yeah.
It's not every venue is allowing it.
And something to consider is that even if you're at 25% capacity, your tables still have to be 6 feet apart from back of chair to back of chair. So you may not even have that space to dance. So it's definitely something you need to discuss with your venue and see a floor plan. I know to make it work for us, we have to put tables on the dance floor in some situations. So there isn't that space.
Ooh, here's a good one. I think I know the answer, but I won't wreck it. I have a mashed potato bar, and now with COVID, they said I have to pay $75 per person to now serve and for my cheesecake bar.
So essentially what that is because they're having to pay their staff to serve your buffet is what's going on there. So you essentially are paying to have a buffet served where typically that buffet would have been self-served. So that payment is to make sure a staff is there to ensure that your guests are staying safe.
Right.
Does that $75, sorry, this is kind of just a shoot off of that, but does that $75 per person like include rental, or is that specifically for the buffet?
I think Kate as well, and Jesse can clarify with, I think that's just the late night. She's not talking about the main meal. I think that's for the late night, but Jesse can probably clarify with that.
No, that's for my main meal, because
it?
that's one of it was supposed to be like the cocktail hour, and it was supposed to be a mashed potato bar. But they said because of COVID, we can't go up and get it each person, even though they're in little shot glasses. So I have to pay somebody to serve me each ingredient, as well as the cheesecake bar as well. I now have to pay $75 for this person to serve my guests, and that's for my main meal and for my cheesecake bar and because of not doing cake.
Now,
So is it $75 per server or $75 per guest?
$75 per server.
Okay, I thought you had to pay an additional $75 per guest, and I was going to say, you send me an email. We're looking at that.
Yeah, no, it's just for the server. I lost actually my late night. They told me my hours were only from 5 till 11 still. They have not extended my hours or anything, and I'm still paying the same price as I did at the beginning that I am now, and that's where I'm a little confused still too.
Now, is
Yeah,
that
well,
is that a
confused and
Bellemere?
frustrated, right?
Sorry. Is that a Bellemere policy though? Because I was under the impression that buffets were like a thing now. They didn't necessarily have to be a served buffet.
Ian, I haven't been told again anything, unfortunately. I've been kind of in the dark. Yeah, you could. Oh, that's what somebody just said. I haven't been told that, Jake and Kate. Apparently, if we want to pay extra, we can extend our hours till 1 a.m. But again, I'm still paying the same price that I did at the very beginning and my hours are cut. So why would I pay more money to extend my hours when it was exactly the same package I had in the original? That's where I am right now.
Oh, goodness.
And just to clarify, we're not here to pick on.
No, and I love this place. Don't get me wrong.
It just happens that two of our people
Yeah.
are from there. So it's not, I hope when they watch this, they don't think we're bashing.
No, and I love them. Don't get me wrong. Like I cried walking through the entire thing. Like it was my dream wedding and it's just been a little frustrating because of COVID.
100%. Okay. I have been hearing a lot from my couples about buffets. They're a go. That's what I've been hearing.
So
Can we discuss?
at Caradoc, how we're doing it is we are putting out a sanitation station before the plates, and we are asking everybody that is going up to sanitize before picking up a plate and going through the buffet. And that seems to be working. Also, we haven't had any buffets that have had more than 50 people so far. So it's kind of been nice, but yeah, that's how
And
we're
is
doing
that a
it.
self-serve buffet, Jess, or a
self-serve
serve?
buffet?
Okay. So again,
Mandarin is open. Rawr.
I get the impression that like it seems to be pretty clear that the rule is that they don't need to be a served buffet, but Bellamir's policy has said that they are going to have a served buffet.
Also, I was
Which-
at Mandarin tonight and it's not open for indoor dining yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We wanted to.
It just said select locations in Ontario.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've been in direct contact with Mandarin because the head office in Brampton, because that's where we wanted our meal. And they said that first of all, Margaret, who runs the London ones, said she can't get servers. She does not have staff. She can't find staff to hire. And she has not figured out how they're going to do it. So it will not be open anytime soon. So we get married August 1st, and we were hoping. And so I called head office of Brampton. They said Niagara Falls, Markham, Brampton, and Hamilton right now are the only ones doing the small eats. And Markham, they just opened on Monday, their buffet, and they had to shut it down. Board of Health came in and shut them down. So,
Like, did they not have sanitation stations or something? Like, wonder why they got shut down so quick.
Board of Health came in and said, yeah, nope, wasn't going to work how they were doing it because, the COVID spread. So, yeah, we thought we were going to do Mandarin. So now it's Krabby Joe's inside in Stratford. And they have a self-contained room, and we're having 20 people sitting down at Krabby Joe's now instead of Mandarin.
Just kind of like on the topic of what Linda just said about not being able to find staff. I just like want everyone kind of knows. I know that we've all heard it, but your venues or your area is probably having a hard time finding staff. I've heard it across the board now with everyone I've talked to. So if it's taking them just like a couple days to get back to you, then just be patient with them. Some of us are the only ones coming. So
we're trying so hard, we promise.
Yeah. So I mean, just
right inside of our venue as well with everybody because everyone's stressed out. So we're all trying, trust me.
Yeah.
That's adapting, right? So getting back to Nancy's point, she's shifting from we were going to do a 50 to 100, so she has to double her inventory, there's more staffing involved, and this is something we have to, it's not like we can shift gears like that. We have to in some cases we have to train because for a lot of these venues they don't have year after year after year people. They train students and then they leave the next year. So it's been a bit of a challenge definitely for the venues to kind of and some of the smaller businesses to ramp up from A to B. So,
and just to be honest, students when we get to August, they have already gotten their apartments to go to college. I mean, their minds are shifting. It's pretty hard to get, it's harder to get them to do the multiple weekends back to back. Kate, have you found that?
I have to find staff, Nancy. I'm working on it.
Okay. All right. I find that they start to, once they get that apartment booked and they put their deposit down, their mind is totally on breaking the rules come September, but
especially those ones, the ones who are moving out on their own for the first time. So they want to go up like every second weekend because mom and dad aren't there. We have a couple of those. Yeah.
So as I'm listening to this, and I'm getting married, whatever, mid-August, and I was getting all excited because everything was opening up, and I was like, I can do this, I can do that now, I can increase my numbers, I can do some dancing, and kind of what I'm hearing is a little bit of a realization. yeah, things are looking more positive. However, that you just got to kind of put the brakes on things a little bit because it's not, we're not going from this to complete normality. Where there is a transition phase that we're probably going to go through this fall into next spring before we 100% hit back to like it was in 2019, for example. And is that an assumption that you guys are on board with?
I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I'm also a little I'm cautiously optimistic because we've been burned before where we're getting back into it, but then it's a full stop. So I don't want to even go ahead of August 6th and say, yeah, you'll probably be in the next phase. Like every phase that comes, that's how I'm planning for everybody because I don't want to assume we're going to be further ahead.
I want to assume. I want to be the ray of hope for you guys right now. When the federal government announced that they were opening borders to double vaccinated travelers as of August 9th, double vaccinated Americans as of August 9th. Hi, Jace. Company today.
Hello, Jace.
As of August 9th, they are opening our borders to double vaccinated Americans. And then I believe it's September 9th, we're open to international travelers who are double vaccinated. That tells me we are full steam ahead with a reopening plan, almost regardless of what our province has planned. I found what I think is the website that Jess usually uses, the COVID-19 vaccine tracker. And it says that Ontario reopening metrics were at 80.23% for first doses and 63.93% for second, which tells me that we're not far from our double vax.
The only thing with that, Anne, is when the announcement had first come out saying that this is how things were going to go, that once we get to that metric, we're good to go. They then a week later said it had to be 12 plus. So we're not going off the 18 plus numbers. We're going off the 12 plus numbers.
Yeah.
Sticky no.
Okay. Anybody want to pipe in?
I still want to be able to, just don't burst my bubble.
The other challenge is, though, that the States has seen a dramatic increase because they're not getting vaccinated with the Delta variant. So what's going to happen is if we open up and we get people coming in and we get a spread starting, we're going to go back into area lockdowns again.
Yeah.
Sorry to burst people's bubble, but
yeah, and there's fake vaccine cards. Like apparently in the States, that's a serious issue they're having. I don't know how that's going to work with our system because, having the provincial governments and the federal government talk to each other and get the story straight seems to be enough an issue in general. I don't know how we're going to have the United States and Canada's policies, but like I can see things going through the cracks. I can see, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I don't think they're going to have full-on lockdowns. I think it's going to be more targeted. I think it'll be industry specific, and I think looking at the UK and is real, I think we're going back to, well, we're probably not going to leave masks for a while.
Yeah, and that was not that I don't love doing these things, but I was anticipating that this might be the last time we have to do this sort of chat.
Okay, what have you been drinking, Rob?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm eternal optimist. I love people dancing on the dance floor and having a great time. So
So we do have a question about how that's going to work for family from the US and how it works for them to go back, which I'm not, from what I understand, they might still have to get tested even if they've been double vaccinated, but I only read over that very quickly.
So I looked into it for my own wedding in September.
Thanks, Jess.
And I got to a point where I was like, they're not invited now because it is going to be way too annoying and hectic for everybody. I was originally going to have like 60 plus people coming from the States for my wedding. And it's one of those things where if they are not Canadian citizens, then they still have to do the quarantine, even if they have their vaccine, because they still have to do the quarantine until their positive test comes back. And then they have to do a second positive test before the event, regardless of where they're going. So if they come across the border and they're like, yeah, we're just coming to shop, they have to go into quarantine until their test comes back positive and then take a second positive test, like take a second, sorry, not positive, negative.
I was
You know
going
what
to
I'm
say,
saying?
I'm really hoping you mean negative.
You
You must have COVID if you're coming.
And then they have to take another one in case that first one was a fluke. So it's just kind of like a lot. However, if your people in the States are Canadian citizens, then they can do all of this at home and they're able to roam free as long as they have proof of vaccination.
right. And just quickly interject, because Brianna, don't worry. The plan is that when we have these support and information chats, they're more like, hey, what would you do about this? And little helpful hints and tips. If this crew is willing, it might not be once a month, but that might be, we will continue to hopefully support our lovely wedding couples and their community.
Going back to what Rob said, you kind of hit the nail on the head because, Doug Ford sitting in his nice little house goes, oh yeah, okay, we're open. However, the reality is the venues and stuff can't open because we were supposed to get married on the riverboat in Avon in Stratford. So I was like, yes, we're open. Went down, talked to Frank. He goes, we didn't get a change in guidelines. Out of an 18-person boat, I can still only have 9. If I have the 9 and we're out the front, we're going to tip the boat over. So he said he's got no guidance, no guidelines, no nothing. And I said, okay, but Doug Ford said everything's open. He goes, yeah, he might have said it. Yeah, but his reality isn't our reality. So now we're getting married in Stratford under the pergola and then getting on the boat for individual rides. So we have to do 3 individual rides of 9 people. So yeah.
It's adapting, right?
Mhm.
This is,
Mhm.
I fully am confident that in 2022 this will not happen, but this is not helping our August, and I think we have one that's actually July 31st.
Yeah, I did
If I
see
read
one
that
was
correctly.
pretty close.
So we've got a lot, I think mostly August from what I can see, but I think there was one July 31st as well. So you're gonna have a from my perspective, you're gonna have a wedding that's a little more open than it was a month ago. But I mean, there's still gonna be some restrictions. It's not gonna be totally back to normal. Wish it was, but ultimately it does come right back down to the venue, because it's their responsibility, and if something was to go down, it would definitely be on them. So they're the rule makers. Any other questions before we kind of just wrap this up and maybe make
We
it
have someone that's wondering, oh, Amy's already got them. Stationary cupcakes. Do you mean like a buffet of cupcakes? Like your guests would just go up and get cupcakes, Brianna? So I know for us, we are asking them to still have them boxed because at least then your guests won't feel will still want to take them, in the sense of, if I was at a wedding and there was just cupcakes out, I probably wouldn't take one because I don't know how many people have been breathing on them and it's just kind of gross. So I've been telling people to still box them up, but that's a me thing. I don't want you guys wasting your money on that.
Awesome. Nobody's asked about streaming. I've had a few questions about that. So I guess if there was a question about that, it really depends on the internet upload speed. So if you're, say, for example, you're somewhere where the internet's not that great, your cell service is not that great, I would probably have you record it and then go back to your hotel room, stream it on some kind of a, a platform, whether it be Facebook or something, for everybody to see later. It's really only works when you can almost plug in. The internet's really good, so you can plug directly into the internet at the venue, or that internet at the venue, the wireless is exceptional. So
We've been having a lot of problems with that, and even professionals can't guarantee that it's going to stream cleanly because it's completely dependent on the upload speed that they can get at the venue.
Yeah.
So
I know we are doing one, but we are guaranteed to be plugging right into their internet, and we're just bringing like a 200-foot cord. So in others, I've just said no, because it's going to be somewhere where I know it's not going to work, and don't waste your money. So that's a key. If anybody's wondering about streaming, the option is, of course, that it's not going to be quite live. It's going to be maybe 3 or 4 hours delayed, but they're going to see it in great quality.
you also might need to be mindful, depending on the venue, of firewalls. So if you're trying to stream at a hotel or a golf course that has firewalls on their internet, you need to make sure that you can get around those. And that's the extent that I can say about that, because we all know me and my tech inabilities.
Also, if you're planning on streaming, please ask your officiant beforehand if they're comfortable with being streamed on the internet. That's really important, that you make sure that that person is okay with being put, like, just streamed at that time.
Cool. Any other questions from our guests before we wrap things up? Any other comments from our lovely panelists?
See, Jesse was
With
asking
the
about a wedding cake.
sketchy
Linda, then Aaron.
Sorry, Jesse was asking about a wedding cake. Good, yeah.
What about the cake then? How
Okay,
did-
well, you can cut the cake, but if it's to be served, I think then that probably would have to be served at individual tables. Am I?
Yeah, like
It depends on the venue.
like for us, I've been very much telling my couples to get cutting cakes only, because especially with Caradoc, we include their dessert in their fee. So most people don't really want cake after they've already had dessert. So I've been really telling people just to get a cutting cake just for the photo's sake, and to smash cake into each other's face. And then we normally wrap it up and give it to them for the rest of it.
Yeah, and just backtrack for a sec, because and I didn't hear it, but maybe we did answer this question for Brianna about a cupcake to be individually boxed or not to be boxed.
That was me. I answered.
And you did answer? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was taken care of.
But like Kate said, it's kind of all dependent on your venue. Like, the other thing is there a cake cutting fee with your venue? Are they willing to plate your stuff to then serve it? Are they kind of all up to the people that you're also having to deal with? So your venue, your caterer, whoever it is.
What we're doing at Oakwood is I have the cake on a rolling table, like a rolling cart. And I roll that in for the pictures, and everyone can like ooh and ah at the cake, and then the couple cuts it and we take it out. I find if the cake is out on a table, people are going to walk by it and breathe on it, and they want to look at it. And the kids are always taking icing off and like touching cakes, little fingers on them. So we've just been rolling it out, doing those pictures, then rolling it back to be cut. So I love bakers and the cakes that they do, but right now I just don't think it's safe to serve a cake that's also been displayed.
but you can certainly display it, cut it, do your photo op, and then move on, right? 100%. All right, anybody else? Any questions from the gallery? And then I guess any last words from our experts? All right, I guess that's it. Last call for questions. This will be recorded, obviously, and then put on YouTube, on the Music Central YouTube channel, probably sometime tomorrow, I'm assuming. So for other people to take a gander. Of course, they can always ask and reach out. And I always encourage everybody to reach out to all our panelists and experts, because we are here. This is all volunteer. Nobody gets paid to do this. This is just our time, because we love what we do. We love our clients. We love our couples, and we have a super passion for our wedding industry. So we've done this. I'm not sure, ladies, how many times have we done this now? This is the 7th or ish time.
Now I'd have to go to your YouTube channel and count.
Yeah, I guess that is absolutely true.
For this year, sorry.
Yeah.
Typically do them once a month, so.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I'm definitely have a passion for you guys to make sure that you have the wedding that you deserve and that you dreamed of over the years and months. So, and that is all we wish for, that you have as normal a wedding as you possibly can. And that's the wedding that you want. And at the end of the day, you're married, and it's been joyous and it's celebratory and everybody has an amazing time. So
I would say also at the end of the day, when there are vendors who you've had a great experience with, the best thing that you can do for us is a review and or referring your friends and family as well, right?
absolutely. All right. Any last minute words of wisdom from our lovely people?
Just be patient with everybody. We're trying. We're adapting as quickly as you guys are. Trust us.
Cool. Well, on that note, keep posted on the Wedding Couples Support Chat. If there's any other updates, we'll make sure that we have. I know that certainly Amy from Unmistakably You does some amazing graphics. She's right on it. So watch her or follow her on her Instagram and her Facebook.
Next time Dougie gives me a call, I'll make sure I put it right out there.
And you do, again, just to give you a quick plug, Amy, you got every Sunday at 1 o'clock.
We do a Facebook Live every Sunday at 1 on Wedding Planning Simplified.
Perfect. All
What's
right.
your topic this week?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. I don't know yet. I'm sorry.
I'm figuring it out.
I don't think she's having me as a guest. I'll be too tired.
There are some things in the works, but they're dependent on other people. It actually might be like speech etiquette. That's one that's up on the docket coming up soon.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Good to share with all of your people who are doing speeches.
Yeah, we have a cheat sheet in the works that you can give your couples or give your wedding party, so that you don't have to be the bad guy. You can just say, hey, here, my wedding planner said don't do this stuff. This isn't me. This is my wedding planner.
That's such a good idea.
Can I have that so I can give it to my couples?
Yes, you sure.
One of the very first weddings I ever did, the groom's grandmother got up and started singing them a speech, and there wasn't supposed to be a speech from grandma. So the bride was looking at me and I was looking at her, and I'm like, what do I do about your grandmother? Like, I can't go take the microphone from her. So it's always something to consider.
I had a DJ turn a mic off on somebody who was going on for 20 minutes. The DJ just slowly turned the mic down. And
Rob, you need a red light, like a red light at the back of the room.
Just stop playing elevator music.
How about a very long cane? Does that work?
Is from the back of the room, like turning on the mic. It's kind of like giving you the long crane.
Or just play the Oscar music.
Yeah, just start doing that.
Slowly bring it up.
think the longest speeches I've ever photographed were a best man who spoke for 40 minutes. And like there were others throughout the night as well, but his was, yeah. And then the wedding couple spoke for 45 minutes. And a lot of the stories that they told were the same as what the best man told. So that was, yeah.
45 minutes?
Yeah, after 40 minutes, and it was like after dinner. They had already had speeches through dinner, and then after dinner was the 40-minute speech, and then the 45-minute speech, and yeah.
What is there to talk about for that long?
I mean, they
Like,
had
is
a
this a
really cute
biography?
story. They had a really cute story, and they're like such a nice couple, and yeah, but.
Well,
What?
we did have one. This is my speech story. We did have one where they were all like 45 minutes. And the dad was like 45 minutes, almost an hour. The groom spoke, his son spoke for, chip off the old block, spoke at least for 45 minutes with his bride. And the kicker was the bar was closed until the speeches were over.
Oh no.
So not only did they have to kind of go through all the speeches, but they couldn't go up and grab a drink or dance.
There
or
was wine on the tables for the guests? Like, were the people
so
bringing
I
wine?
think probably at that point the wine was probably gone.
Oh my God.
So
Why you go to
All
a place
30
with a
guests made a
those speeches
speech.
short. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap things up, and we're going to put this on YouTube tomorrow so everybody else can kind of glean from it whatever they can. So thank you to my amazing people. Thank you especially, like I invited Nancy first time to give her perspective on the event rental industry. So thanks, Nancy. Thanks, everybody. And we are going to stop recording. So thanks, everybody.